Day 114, 2 Chronicles 1-4. Solomon builds the temple. 1. Solomon asks for wisdom. 2. Preparation for building the temple. 3. Solomon builds the temple. 4. The temple's furnishings. Point to ponder. A father's dream becomes a son's delight as Solomon undertakes the greatest architectural feat of his lifetime, building the temple in Jerusalem. With breathtaking speed, Solomon organized more than 150,000 workers and tons of materials to ensure that the task went ahead smoothly.
The Second Book of Chronicles, Chapter 1. Solomon the son of David was strengthened in his kingdom, and the Lord his God was with him, and magnified him exceedingly. Solomon spoke to all Israel, to the captains of thousands and of hundreds, and to the judges, and to every prince in all Israel, the heads of the fathers' houses. So Solomon and all the assembly with him went to the high place that was at Gibeon, for there was the tent of meeting of God, which Moses the servant of the Lord had made in the wilderness. But David had brought the ark of God up from Kiriath-Jearim to the place that David had prepared for it, for he had pitched a tent for it at Jerusalem. Moreover, the brazen altar that Bezalel the son of Uri the son of Hur had made was there before the tent of the Lord, and Solomon and the assembly sought to it. Solomon went up there to the brazen altar before the Lord, which was at the tent of meeting, and offered 1,000 burnt offerings on it. In that night did God appear to Solomon, and said to him, "Ask what I shall give you." Solomon said to God, "You have shown great loving kindness to David my father, and have made me king in his place. Now, O Lord God, let your promise to David my father be established, for you have made me king over a people like the dust of the earth in multitude. Give me now wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before this people, for who can judge this your people that is so great?" God said to Solomon, "Because this was in your heart, and you have not asked riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life of those who hate you, neither yet have you asked long life, but have asked wisdom and knowledge for yourself, that you may judge my people, over whom I have made you king. Wisdom and knowledge is granted to you, and I will give you riches, and wealth, and honor, such as none of the kings have had who have been before you, neither shall there any after you have the like." So Solomon came from the high place that was at Gibeon, from before the tent of meeting to Jerusalem, and he reigned over Israel. Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots, and 12,000 horsemen, that he placed in the chariot cities, and with the king at Jerusalem. The king made silver and gold to be in Jerusalem as stones, and cedars he made to be as the sycamore trees that are in the lowland for abundance. The horses which Solomon had were brought out of Egypt, and from Cu. The king's merchants purchased them from Cu. They brought up and brought out of Egypt a chariot for 600 pieces of silver, and a horse for 150. And so for all the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Syria did they bring them out by their means. Chapter 2. Now Solomon purposed to build a house for the name of the Lord, and a house for his kingdom. Solomon counted out 70,000 men to bear burdens, and 80,000 men who were stone cutters in the mountains, and 3,600 to oversee them. Solomon sent to Hiram king of Tyre, saying, "As you dealt with David my father, and sent him cedars to build him a house in which to dwell, even so deal with me. Behold, I am about to build a house for the name of the Lord my God, to dedicate it to him, and to burn before him incense of sweet spices, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offerings morning and evening on the Sabbaths and on the new moons, and on the set feast of the Lord our God. This is an ordinance forever to Israel. The house which I build is great, for great is our God above all gods. But who is able to build him a house, seeing heaven and the heaven of heavens can't contain him? Who am I, then, that I should build him a house, save only to burn incense before him? Now therefore send me a man skillful to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in iron, and in purple, and crimson, and blue, and who knows how to engrave all manner of engravings, to be with the skillful men who are with me in Judah and in Jerusalem, whom David my father did provide. Send me also cedar trees, fir trees, algum trees out of Lebanon. For I know that your servants know how to cut timber in Lebanon, and behold, my servants shall be with your servants, even to prepare me timber in abundance. For the house which I am about to build shall be great and wonderful. Behold, I will give to your servants, the cutters who cut timber, 20,000 measures of beaten wheat, and 20,000 measures of barley, and 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of oil. Then Hiram king of Tyre answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon, Because the Lord loves his people, he has made you king over them. Hiram continued, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, that made heaven and earth, who has given to David the king a wise son, endowed with discretion and understanding, that should build a house for the Lord, and a house for his kingdom. Now I have sent a skillful man endowed with understanding, of Hiram my father, the son of a woman of the daughters of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre, skillful to work in gold, and in silver, in brass, and iron, and stone, and in timber, in purple, in blue, and in fine linen, and in crimson, also to engrave any manner of engraving, and to devise any device, that there may be a place appointed to him with your skillful men, and with the skillful men of my lord David your father. Now therefore the wheat and the barley, the oil and the wine which my lord has spoken of, let him send to his servants, and we will cut wood out of Lebanon, as much as you shall need, and we will bring it to you in floats by sea to Joppa, and you shall carry it up to Jerusalem. Solomon numbered all the foreigners who were in the land of Israel, after the numbering with which David his father had numbered them, and there were found 153,600. He set 70,000 of them to bear burdens, and 80,000 who were stone cutters in the mountains, and 3,600 overseers to set the people at work. Chapter 3. Then Solomon began to build the house of the Lord at Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where the Lord appeared to David his father, which he made ready in the place that David had appointed, in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. He began to build in the 2nd day of the 2nd month, in the 4th year of his reign. Now these are the foundations which Solomon laid for the building of the house of God. The length by cubits after the first measure was 60 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits. The porch that was before the house, the length of it, according to the breadth of the house, was 20 cubits, and the height 120, and he overlaid it within with pure gold. The greater house he made a ceiling with fir wood, which he overlaid with fine gold, and ornamented it with palm trees and chains. He garnished the house with precious stones for beauty, and the gold was gold of Parvaim. He overlaid also the house, the beams, the thresholds, and the walls, and the doors with gold, and engraved cherubim on the walls. He made the most holy house. The length of it according to the breadth of the house was 20 cubits, and the breadth of it was 20 cubits, and he overlaid it with fine gold, amounting to 600 talents. The weight of the nails was 50 shekels of gold. He overlaid the upper chambers with gold. In the most holy house he made 2 cherubim of image work, and they overlaid them with gold. The wings of the cherubim were 20 cubits long. The wing of the one cherub was 5 cubits, reaching to the wall of the house, and the other wing was likewise 5 cubits, reaching to the wing of the other cherub. The wing of the other cherub was 5 cubits, reaching to the wall of the house, and the other wing was 5 cubits also, joining to the wing of the other cherub. The wings of these cherubim spread themselves forth 20 cubits, and they stood on their feet, and their faces were toward the house. He made the veil of blue and purple and crimson, and fine linen, and ornamented it with cherubim. Also he made before the house 2 pillars of 35 cubits high, and the capital that was on the top of each of them was 5 cubits. He made chains in the oracle, and put them on the tops of the pillars, and he made 100 pomegranates, and put them on the chains. He set up the pillars before the temple, one on the right hand, and the other on the left, and called the name of that one on the right hand Jachin, and the name of that on the left Boaz. Chapter 4. Moreover he made an altar of brass, 20 cubits the length of it, and 20 cubits the breadth of it, and 10 cubits the height of it. Also he made the molten sea of 10 cubits from brim to brim, round in shape, and the height of it was 5 cubits, and a line of 30 cubits compassed it round about. Under it was the likeness of oxen, which did compass it round about for 10 cubits, compassing the sea round about. The oxen were in 2 rows, cast when it was cast. It stood on 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, and 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east, and the sea was set on them above, and all their hinder parts were inward. It was a handbreadth thick, and the brim of it was worked like the brim of a cup, like the flower of a lily. It received and held 3,000 baths. He also made 10 basins, and put 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left, to wash in them. Such things as belonged to the burnt offering they washed in them, but the sea was for the priests to wash in. He made the 10 lampstands of gold according to the ordinance concerning them, and he set them in the temple, 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left. He also made 10 tables and placed them in the temple, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left. He made 100 basins of gold. Furthermore he made the court of the priest, and the great court, and doors for the court, and overlaid the doors of them with brass. He set the sea on the right side of the house eastward toward the south. Huram made the pots, and the shovels, and the basins. So Huram made an end of doing the work that he did for King Solomon in the house of God, the 2 pillars, and the bowls, and the 2 capitals which were on top of the pillars, and the 2 networks to cover the 2 bowls of the capitals that were on the top of the pillars, and the 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, 2 rows of pomegranates for each network, to cover the 2 bowls of the capitals that were on the pillars. He also made the bases, and the basins he made on the bases, 1 sea, and the 12 oxen under it. The pots also, and the shovels, and the flesh hooks, and all its vessels, did Huram his father make for King Solomon, for the house of the Lord, of bright brass. In the plain of the Jordan did the king cast them, in the clay ground between Succoth and Zeradah. Thus Solomon made all the vessels in great abundance, for the weight of the brass could not be found out. Solomon made all the vessels that were in the house of God, the golden altar also, and the tables whereon was the showbread, and the lampstands with their lamps, to burn according to the ordinance before the oracle, of pure gold, and the flowers, and the lamps, and the tongs of gold, and that perfect gold, and the snuffers, and the basins, and the spoons, and the firepans of pure gold. And as for the entry of the house, its inner doors of the most holy place, and the doors of the house, of the temple, were of gold.